ropes it off. A flying tackle by and a drop kick.
10 pounds of pure love.
Gotta hold this just a minute. You want a little bit more?
I'm the rich.
Gotta be the best of them. It's more to me than anything I've ever done in wrestling.
They call this the 10 pounds of gold. The championship has existed in its current proper form since 19...
That was pretty hard, and look at what he's gonna work now. Oh!
Hey everybody, it's Durger time. Thank you for joining me once again for another episode of Totally Extreme Wrestling 2020, Billy Corgan's NWA. So, we had a decent show, let's say. The big problem was, of course, that we were missing King Mo to finish our tournament. So, definitely a problem for us. Just in the fact that we really, it's been going on for so long. I just wanted to finish. I know who I want. I know how it's going to end, but we need to get all the pieces in place to actually get it to work. And that's been a problem from the beginning. So hopefully we'll get him in for the contract signing before the next episode of Power in 6 days. I'm not sure, though. We will see. The other thing I wanted to look at real quick before we get to the show, so our financials are okay. Our financials are looking solid. We were talking a little bit about that last time, and you know, not too bad. We're kind of hanging even, and it's not really the end of the world by any stretch of imagination, especially compared to losing like $103,000. We definitely are not making money like we used to, but that is to be expected with what we have. One of the things I wanted to look at potentially turning a profit is our Championship Wrestling, our little child company that we got here. So if we go into companies, Championship Wrestling from Philadelphia, they're doing like negative 15,000. So obviously they don't lose any money because we just absorb it and we pay them off. The issue is they're just not really making a lot of capital. Now, there may be ways, like we could probably trim this down and see what they're paying and cut some of these down to size a little bit. I kind of just want to let it run. And I don't know if I like being at, like 15 grand down. So I think I'm going to try something. I've never really dealt much with child companies, but if we go into child companies, we can see we have a CEO and a booker. DJ Hyde is both of them right now. So what I am thinking is Hyde's business skill, which is the thing that affects the CEO, is an admirable 40. It's not bad, honestly. It's not great. Now, if I'm correct, that kind of affects the financial ends of the company. It'll make better financial decisions. It'll make better contract negotiations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know how much that'll affect that financial bottom line, but I don't mind him being our booker, but I think we should change our CEO. So I have it set so that we can look at everybody that has a booking or business skill. So we see, like, Al Snow here has a 30, right? His booking reputation is better than his business skill. Del Rio, currently unemployed. The one I was looking at, actually, kind of going through, believe it or not, might be the best of the line, is actually one of our wrestlers. So Madison Eagles has experience running a all-female pro wrestling company in Australia, PWA. She co-owns PWA and the training schools. So she has quite a bit of business experience, and it's reflected on her business skills. She's got 64. I think this is the highest on here. Well, we got Great Sasuke. Well, so this that would be something, but I don't think that's the right fit for that. We can also get Wink Vavasseur, or aka Paul Pinky George III, could actually run it as well. So 63, I think Madison Eagles is a little bit better. 64, just a little bit. So it might come down to price. 400, 120. Sure feels like she's probably the better one. I don't know if this will necessarily take her off of our show, though. So that's a problem, too. Whereas Wink, while I would like to bring back Paul Pinky George at some point, not necessarily needed on the show right now. In fact, we haven't really used them in a while. So we're kind of just, we're not wasting money because he's not on the show, but we're not really using him in any capacity. That era's kind of done. So I think this might actually be the best option here. So we'll appoint him. That all looks fine. I'm going to try to lowball him a little bit. I don't know why he would take this as an owner, but sure. Merchandise sales cut looks fine. Cool. So, Wink is now our CEO. This works as well because he actually, in real life, was involved with Chikara, which obviously has a relationship with the CCW, so theoretically he would be a fairly good fit to actually be involved in some capacity. So I'm happy with that. DJ, I hope he's fine with that. I don't know. How you doing, buddy? I don't think there's a "hey, how you doing" morale issue, but he'll be fine. Honestly, if he wants to leave as Booker, it's not the end of the world. I'm not that concerned. So if that's what he wants to do, that's entirely up to him. That's not my issue. Hopefully, though, that might stem the tide a little bit when it comes to the financials for CCW, which will feed into us. So that's kind of the hope. What I would like is, as a child company, just it to kind of make a small little profit so we can get a little passive income. Right now, it's kind of just a money sink. And honestly, it's not really doing that much for us. I kind of just like having it. It's got shows. It's actually putting on kind of better shows than we're doing. Not far off. We should probably look at pulling people out. We're definitely at a point where we might look to bring in some talent from their roster. Some people that are wrestlers that are their major stars, and pull them out to join. So, you got Joe Gacy. I probably wouldn't, but though his brawling's really good, and actually he's fairly popular all around. Leon Ruff, which we should have an image for him, which we had in one of our tournaments a long time ago as well. So they have some people that are doing well that might be good feeders to bring in and fully bring into the experience here. Matt Tremont might not be a bad option. It would be kind of cool. He's doing fine. I could actually, honestly, I could see him joining the Kingdom, Casey Navarro, who we had before. So there's some options here that we might bring in, like a fresh school into the NWA a little bit, and maybe trim some of our roster as well. There's some people that I think have had their time. We've talked about the War Machine for a while, thinking it's probably time to let them go. It's Danhausen's still here. Probably that story's done and he can go. I don't know. Possibly. And there's some other people, and we can decide how how that plays out and how that shakes out. There's even some people on the lower card we can look at grooming out to boost up our talent a little bit. Right now, though, we're at 42, which is very good in terms of a roster. I mean, it's just larger than we need, but with the way I like to book, it's ample. Yeah, booking at straight 20 is running into issues with repetition and stuff like that. So we don't really want that. All right, let's get on with Power. Hopefully we can get this contract back in place and finally finish that tournament. Okay. Wire had a show last night for CZW. I'm kind of curious to see what it did. Oh, it was a taping. We won't know what its actual results were quite yet. Hopefully they're getting their stuff in order. All right, we got our contract signing, and we do have some mail. And that's just telling us that we appointed him to our NWA CWFP. That's totally totally rolls off the tongue. But we got that all set. We should be ready. Let's get into it. Oh, we still got a couple more days. All right. Well, we will get into it when we get there. All right. We are back. Chris Brooks got a Booker rant here about DDT. So there's some drama over there, it looks like. Leah Rush is back. No, sorry. Leah Rush had a contract offer. Pillman is back. Back and ready to fight for My Bloody Valentine. And Thunder Rosa has accepted a MMA fight. Oh, that is annoying. You are annoying, Thunder Rosa. Okay, we can work around that. We'll figure out what we do. 54 days, there's a lot of time to do whatever we want to do with it. Originally, she is scheduled to fight Kimberly. And, I don't know at that point. So we'll see. Maybe Kimber retains, maybe Thunder takes it and runs with it for 54 days or something, We'll figure out what we want to do with that. All right, we got Power scheduled. Let's go ahead and get into it. And there we are. We are in the studio arena. I am not 100% sure. I would love your comments about this. But now we're primarily focusing on the Southeast region because we're trying to boost that popularity. That's been a goal. We're expecting 800 fans, which is great. But does it matter what other locations I go in the same region? So I know there can be burnout, I believe, but I think it's burnout per region, and I feel like it's after a certain size requirement. I don't remember. I kind of remember that vaguely from 2016, and I don't necessarily remember it now. So if someone can let me know how that works in the system, I'm sure there's some note somewhere in here that I'm just maybe misremembering. Because I found it kind of interesting that we accidentally picked a different location and we had like a much bigger attendance for it than normally we have with the GBD studios. So not really sure. No, though granted, we've been having pretty solid, like if we're talking about, I know it's that huge upward hill as we're kind of got this Sisyphean task right now where we're just kind of rolling this boulder up the hill. But we started like a month ago at like 500 people, and we're at like 831 right now. So I think the addition of like Joe and the addition of some of the better shows we've had has definitely helped. We've got 2 notches up in our popularity, and it's paying off for us. Hopefully by maybe the next pay-per-view, we'll even bump up to 50, and we'll be well on our way towards our goal of actually breaching out of a regional and actually becoming sort of a smaller company, or well, a larger company, but not just a regional one anymore. Could be really cool. We're going to select a venue. we have some incidents. One about Joe, interestingly enough. Joey Samoe bought an entire pizza for the entire locker room. Well, that's nice. All right. See, it's good that we had him here. We got no issues. I might do a clear the air just to debuff any potential penalties. Right now, Pentagon once again is working in AAA, so we basically just don't have one of our top guys. What it is, but the show must go on. All right, we'll medal. We're fine. Our workers are relatively good here, so we can medal. Miro and Eli have some tensions, and I almost wonder if a little rib will help. Miro's just got normal morale. What would it be like if I put Miro and Mr. Drake, Mr. LA Knight? Feel like I chased it failing anything. Let's try. No effect. Last time I did that, it blew up massively, so gotta be careful. But all right, so we had a 59 last show. 56. Actually, I'm wrong. We're actually cooking it compared to CZW here. Last show we had Jeff Jarrett telling him he might not get his title shot, and just kind of being annoying to him. Eli Drake accepting an offer for a fight. Matt Cross hanging out with the Satori Initiative. And obviously a big brawl between our tag team and a brawl with Kimberly and Thunder Rosa. And Ricky Starks wanting a title shot. So a lot of stuff happening. Ricky Starks and Warhorse feels like that should happen this episode. So we definitely will probably play into that. So let's go ahead and get on with the show and book this and see where we land. Alright guys, we are ready for our next episode of Power here. I believe, we got a full 95 minutes in for Power, so we did the entire show. Obviously people are off of the roster, and that's fine. No pre-show stuff, but we got pretty much everything that I wanted on this. Well, that's not quite. There's a few things I was kind of hoping to do, but just time permitted, didn't quite pan out. But I think it's a pretty good show. Pretty happy with how we have things booked. Another Kingdom-centric show, so be aware of that. But I think it came out pretty well, and hopefully the grade comes out with it. But let's take a look. So we start the show pretty good. 52 is not too bad, with a returning Brian Pillman. So Pillman Jr. walks into Jeff Jarrett's office, and his gait is not hiding the fact that he is in a lot of pain right now. Right, that injury is still fresh. It's healed, but it's still present, and it's still very much working him over a little bit. Jarrett is as bombastic as ever, really going over the top for a real big, greeting. Jarrett sees him as sort of the face of the company, the ace, and he is not afraid to show it. My boy Pillman Jr., he kind of sing-songs out his voice in a little kind of a cowboy strut way. So he's very happy seeing him back. He's like, you're going to be the star that catapults me. I mean, the company to the stars. The flattery and over-gratitude is clearly going to Pillman's head. You kind of see in his eyes on camera that ego starting to be fed and kind of get bigger and bigger. And Jeff Jarrett, though, sits down and kind of motions him to sit down as well. And says, listen, son, sit down. But listen, we can't do this match. I know, you're not ready. You're injured. And Eddie, since you've been gone, he's been uncontrollable right now. He's honestly, he's just a madman. My boys are doing the best to control the situation, but we can't risk it. Can't risk a loss for you right now. You're just not ready. You're just not fit. We can do this again. And as Jeff Jarrett's continuing to try to kind of get him to convinced to not do it, Pillman shuts him down. He's like, no, absolutely not. I'm not backing down. Listen, Jarrett, it's my turn to talk. Here's the thing. Since I've been away, I've had offers all over the world right now. Japan, Mexico, big companies all across the world. They all want me. Listen, honestly, NWA be damned. I don't care about it. I'm not backing down and looking weak in this situation. This is not about this company. It's not about you. I am a second-generation star that is finally getting noticed for the talent that I have, and I'm going to win, and I'm going to be propelled further, and I'm going to become a superstar, and that's just that. And as long as you just keep cashing your checks, you can ride the wave with me. And before Jarrett can even rebut, Pillman walks right out of the room. So Pillman's gone right off the farm at this point. He's bought into his hype immensely. Of course, he has the skill to prove it, but he's injured right now, right? So he's in a much more vulnerable situation that I think he's aware of. And Jarrett's kind of trying to talk sense into him, but at this point, there's really no talking sense into him. So as far as we can tell, it looks like the Kingston and Pillman match is back on. And Pillman's confident that he will retain. Gets us with a really strong start. Show did great. Angle did fantastic for what it needed to do to start the show. And gets us a 52. And this does fine. At the start of the show, Ricky Starks comes out and calls out Warhorse, saying, "You're offering challenges. I want that match tonight. The future can't wait for absolute Ricky Starks. Let's have a match tonight." And Warhorse accepts. So we'll have the match tonight for the Alliance Heavyweight title. Warhorse obviously being our champion right now. Gain heat for the story. It does fine. It's 40. Trying to build momentum for Ricky Starks a little bit here. And we kind of have to build him up a little bit still. But there's probably a long-term benefit I think we can get out of him. And for our first match of the night, it is our finally of the Circle Square tournament. You guys have had, you have picked all the competitors. I have randomly decided the winning results, leading to a very wild matchup of King Mo, MMA crossover fighter from MLW, versus Chris Brooks, a Japanese Gaijin wrestler. And I look at when deciding this, who would fit, what are we missing, who has the better benefit for us now. And ultimately, while King Mo is older and probably has a shorter time frame, right now it was hard to overlook his skill for what we had, and specifically his popularity in the U.S. I think was a better sell than Chris Brooks, and that's why we had King Mo defeat Chris Brooks and win the Circle Square tournament with a submission in 12 minutes. King Mo, though, after talking that up, he was off his game. This really the match we needed him to be. He had a 40. Chris Brooks had a 45. Got the crowd buzzing, though. Overall, though, was a 39. It's not a great match, but my intention with King Mo is probably to have him like a lower mid-card talent for now, and probably be a strong challenge to topple, that kind of thing. But there's some other stuff I had some ideas with, so I'm kind of formulating where I want him to kind of fit in the fabric of the NWA right now. But I think there's a lot of possibilities we have, and it certainly will depend on how quickly he gets popular when we put him over. I expect him to have a go-go style win streak for a while, and that might really help boost him up as he kind of clobbers his way through the lowest of the card, as he's now part of the NWA. And of course, we just solidify that he has won the tournament, and he does fine with his little segment, 45, as he celebrates. Now, we cut backstage. I actually expected this segment to do a little bit better, but we got Ricky Starks, Eddie Kingston, Homicide, and Lio Rush all backstage. And they're in the parking lot, aka their official stomping grounds at this point, and Eddie's Kingdom is entirely in a meeting. Ricky Starks is on his phone, sitting on a car. Lio Rush is kind of doing some exercises, and Homicide is looking banged up after his last match. He's got his arm in a sling. He's hurt. That last match with the Revenant did not go well for him, and he is still visibly really fighting through the symptoms of that loss. He got really banged up there. And Kingston, we're kind of cut in mid-conversation as the cameras got there, but Homicide's like, yeah, I can go. No, I'm fine. He's confident, being shouted down, though, by a very emphatic Eddie Kingston, who's telling him he's definitely not fine. He goes, no, man, you gotta heal. Those irreverent punks, listen, they mean business. If we're going to bring out ourselves to that match, we got to bring our A game. And listen, man, you need a rest. So I'll go out there and I'll fight like I do, but I need one of the other guys step up on the plate. Ricky looks up from his phone. He's kind of shocked by the comment as he kind of calls him out. And Eddie kind of goes, yeah, man, I'm going to need you out there. You're our enforcer. I need you. He's like, no, absolutely not. Eddie looks completely shocked at his refusal. He goes, no, the family needs you, man. He's like, I have a match tonight. He's like, I challenge Warhorse for that title. It's a title shot. Eddie sighed and was like, listen, bro. Sometimes you gotta make sacrifices for family. Listen, we gotta teach these guys business. They roughed us up. They did us dirty. And we can't let that stand. Listen, you're one of the top guys in this family, in the kingdom. And I need you right now. And listen, that match, whatever. They want that match on pay-per-views anyways. All right? Jarrett's a weasel, but money talks. We talk to him, we get that match moved, no problem. Ricky Starks stands up, and he's very confident in this. He goes, no, Eddie. Absolutely not. Listen, what's this fight for? Nothing. Pride, ego, your ego. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm on the upswing here, while everybody else is getting their ass kicked in this group. This is my time to prove myself, and I'm not going to stop for your petty fights. Eddie sighs and goes, you're going to regret it, man. And Ricky, walking away, not even looking at him, goes, no, I won't. Everyone's performance was very good. It got the crowd hotter, and we're starting to see some tension in the kingdom. It's hard to say who's wrong here. What do you guys think? I think Ricky's got a point. I think Eddie's got a point. But is Eddie's sort of campaign against Jeff Jarrett, against Pillman, is it blinding them to greater success? And is it right to ask Ricky Starks to lay down or postpone a match that he's hyping himself up for, to potentially get injured in a match that doesn't really have any stakes? Kind of an interesting question and an interesting dynamic, but we're starting to see some fissures here within the group. Little cracks that might patch themselves over or might turn into big wedges, and we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that. We have a horrendous exhibition match between Sonya and Allison Kay. Wanted to give her a win. We gave her a win, but it just stinks. She had a 43. Allison had a 37. Not much to say about this. This is not great. Don't really know what happened here, actually, at all. Very low experience for that, but this seemed excessively bad for what this was. I don't know. It's rough. But Sonya gets a win. I guess that's something. We get a really real bad match. Eli Drake has an interview next. I didn't write anything out for this because this is a pretty generic one. But Eli Drake has a match with Samoa Joe tonight. It was called out last week, and Drake's being asked basically if he's ready for this match, and he's kind of given that typical one of like, listen, I'm a veteran, I've seen what Joe can do, but Joe's underestimating me, and I know that I have it in me to beat him, that kind of thing. It does very well. We're building up that storyline. Drake's going to be his first real challenge, and we'll have to see if Joe can step up, because he's really just been kind of beating up enhancement talent and beating up lower card guys, and Drake's a main eventer. He's on the downswing right now, but at any time he can kind of swing back up. And he's a vet, like Joe is. So he's used to the tricks, right? Gets a 65. He's looking good going into it. He doesn't look good going out of it, though it's an exceptional match. Joe has a 71, and Drake had a 59. Samoa Joe defeats him in 7 minutes by stoppage. Eli Drake was beat so hard in the match, would not accept a pinfall, would not get submitted, but simply just couldn't stand up anymore. And the ref calls it off, and Joe gets a win, but kind of a dirty one. And Drake kind of holds his own for as long as he can, but it's just shows that Joe is just too powerful, too angry right now. And he gets a 63. This definitely makes up for that stinker of the last match. And Joe continues to show dominance as he moves up the ladder. And another really bad match, unfortunately. Nicole Matthews, all alone, has a match with Delilah Doom. Kimberly and Delilah Doom have been having a bit of a feud going on, and Delilah Doom gets some comeuppance as the Thought Crime squad here is separated, and she's able to beat the lesser of the two pretty handily in 4 minutes. Unfortunately, though, the match is just not great, and we actually lose heat for the story, and the segment is a stinker. A real bummer. Oof. So that was supposed to cool them down, and I was hoping it would, because this was supposed to be a technical match, because they both had fairly decent technical skill. So I thought that was going to be the best shot, but unfortunately that match did not cool them down enough, apparently. Because ultimately we have Ricky Starks versus Warhorse for the NWA Alliance National Heavyweight title. Ricky Starks defeats Warhorse in about 16 minutes by submission. It was a highly technical match, but unfortunately it was poorly paced, and I guess the crowd just kind of burned out from it. I think that's actually part of the problem of where we're running into with our our show here with some of these ratings is I think we're experiencing some burnout on people. We had a 48 for Ricky Starks, a 37 for Warhorse. We advanced the story between the two of them, and Ricky Starks is now our Alliance heavyweight title. He's kind of turned his back temporarily on the family, but has reaped the rewards for it, and wins, beating Warhorse in a match that probably is better than it's actually rated, unfortunately, but did not come off well when on TV. And in our main event, we have Eddie Kingston with Lio Rush versus the Revenant. This match is okay. It's 48. It had good heat and decent wrestling, but the Revenant defeat Eddie Kingston and Lio Rush. Akam pins Lio Rush with the last chapter, and he gets the pin. Getting distracted is Eddie Kingston, who sees Pillman show up and kind of pull a distraction on him, trying to get him riled up, and ultimately cost the Kingdom the match. Lio Rush was struggling to keep up in this match and only had a 29, with Eddie Kingston having a 66 and Akam and Razor having about 55 average between the two of them. We lose heat for the Ace and NWA, and we lost heat for Von Erichs, I guess because technically they're a tag team and I had them set up in there, unfortunately. It's not a great main event, unfortunately. Probably should have had the Joe and Eli Drake match lead this show. That was probably a mistake in booking. Ultimately, though, we have a Kingston and Pillman square off in the ring as they stare each other down. That ultimately does pretty well, and we kind of regain a little bit of heat for the Ace story, and gets us a 60 for the last segment rating. I'm thinking we're going to get a 54 here. This was a very mixed card, unfortunately, and some unfortunate booking decisions in terms of pacing that I think cost us. 51, even worse than I thought, actually. That's rough. We increased it in 54. We did what we needed to do. We had a full sellout crowd at 850. We'll learn from our mistakes. We'll do better. I don't think it was that bad. I just think some of these matches in between really hurt the flow of the show. It's been an issue. Our lower card is very weak, and that's something we have to look at. That's why I was hoping Ricky moving up in the roster as quickly as possible will help that, because there is a significant skill gap between our main eventers who do very well and everybody else. So that's something we'll have to address, and that might have to do with firings and hirings. We'll have to see. But yeah, it's a show. We'll live on with it. All right, we got some mail. 0.04, still about the same. Power report was this feedback was still excellent. The show went down really well, so maybe we're we're beating ourselves up a little bit, but this is what it is. Pillman is also boasting, saying that, wow, man, we're good at booking this. I think we got this. Pillman Jr. made the declaration that he is carrying the entire NWA by himself, and without him, there would be no promotion. So starting a little bit of heat there, possibly, as he calls out the entire locker room there, basically saying that he is carrying it. It will be interesting to see what he thinks about it after My Vicious Valentine, because he has a hell of a match he's going to have to go into. But anyways, that was the show for today. I think it was pretty good. I'm happy with it overall. I think it could have been a lot better. But like I said, I think we had some creative issues when it comes to that undercard that held us up, and maybe some burnout issues we should have accommodated for a little bit better. But we will live and learn and move on from it, and we'll fight for it next time. Not a big deal. Thank you guys for joining me once again, and I'll see you next time.